And now we're recording. Excellent. Hello, fans of old dude flying fake aircraft while babbling. It is Friday the 19th. I'm taking a little lunch break, and we're gonna do we're gonna try something new today. We're gonna take a Cessna 172 that has the Garmin glass cockpit. We're gonna do a very fast flight from Reading Regional Airport in Pennsylvania, and we're gonna land at Allentown using RNAV, which is a different form of instrument approach. Uses purely GPS to get us into a position to land safely, and in fact, you know, on many airports that have it, it can bring us all the way down to the runway. This is the chart for the runway we're going to be using, Allentown, Pennsylvania, right? And by using the flight planner in the simulator, our avionics will already be programmed. We're going to be coming in and hitting this waypoint, Sayov. Now with GPS for navigation, there are arbitrary, randomly named, or sometimes thematically named waypoints that are just arbitrary geographical spaces in the airspace. And as we can see, let's see here, we're doing KABE, parking, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're going to close that. Here we go. As you can see, I've selected IFR for low altitude airways. And in fact, let's set our cruise altitude, our declared cruise altitude is 2,900 feet, because we're not going to be in the air that long. So we don't want to be climbing too high. And we can see that we're going to go from Reading. We're going to go to this waypoint that enters the pattern, and then we go Gisto, Shaggy, Giebel, and then we land at the airport. And on the chart, we can see that there's various altitude requirements. We should be at 3,000 feet when we hit Gisto. We then should be at 2,400 feet when we hit Shaggy. Ruh-roh, Raggy! And then we drop to 4. And in fact, we can see on the chart, let me zoom in for those of you who are old like me, this little X means this is where, if we're at the proper altitude, we should be able to capture the glide slope and the instruments can take us in. Now we're a Category A aircraft, which means that when we're coming in, we have to be able to see the runway by a particular altitude at a particular distance. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I think the G1000 has the better navigation. So I think as long as we can see the runway when we're at 594 feet from 2,400 feet away, then we don't have to abort. And if we abort, well, that's the missed approach. We then fly past the airport and then hit and do our missed approach on FONUP until ATC will bring us back in. But I don't expect that will be a problem. All right. Mostly because I'm probably just going to YOLO if we don't quite see the runway in time and go in anyway. One new toy I picked up is Weather Force. So here's the thing with Flight Simulator 2020. It has a fantastic weather engine. Like, the weather effects it can generate are amazing. But the live weather is sometimes flaky. Except when it's snowing, and sometimes it's not flaky. Like, you'll start a flight, you'll finish it, then you'll start another flight, and it won't pull in weather data. So what Rex Weather Force does is it uses inter-process communication. It basically runs alongside Flight Simulator and injects weather into the simulator based on real-world data from METAR, which is considered, that's considered basically the best weather data for flying. So this is the app that runs side by side, and we can see at Allentown, these are the current conditions, and in fact it even tells us, like, here's our pressure, our barometric pressure, which we need when we set the altimeter and stuff. So we're going to be using Weather Force today. All right, so What that means is in the simulator, we do a preset for clear skies, and then once we have started our flight, we then hit, and we're going to hit live for the time, we then hit we then start injecting the weather, and we'll see the snowy goodness. All right, so live time, but clear skies. Okay. And I think that's all we need to do to prep. All right, let us, bacon and tomato. No, let's start the simulator up, and then we can work on getting the VR up once the simulator's loaded. And I think my OVR toolkit stuff got a little messed up the other day, so I'm going to have to probably take a minute or two to set those windows up. But that's okay. That is okay. And what I'm going to do now is, let's see, 30.09. I'm going to take the barometer out 30.09 and just drop that into the Twitch chat so that I'll be able to see it. Oh, and let me do the thing. Let me bring up the utility where I can have speech chat going, where if somebody actually starts watching the stream, it'll read the chat to me, because that's fun. I like that. All right, so you got the chart up in the browser. We're going to need that for the approaches and stuff. That's good. Yeah, I've flown the Cessna with the glass cockpit quite a bit prior
Twitch
to...
details. Welcome to my channel.
Hello, Twitch
Lemon Juices
details.
12. Welcome to my channel.
Right.
Rubber Slayer. Welcome to my channel.
So we're ready to fly. And as you can see, this is not what the weather is in the real world, and that's okay. We just go into Weather Force and we hit Start Weather Synthesis. And it reminds us, make sure you've done all this stuff first and then hit Start Synthesis. And in a few seconds, what we'll see is it should become a wintry day in Reading, Pennsylvania. And, come on, you can do it. Boom, there we go. Yep. And, yeah. And we can see the barometer, which was already set to 29.92, is now off because it's actually the real air pressure. So, yeah, there's that. All right, now what we'll do is, since we've got the simulator loaded and the weather's going, we'll switch over to virtual reality and get that all set. And then we can start flying. Move the controls onto the desk. Rudder pedals are ready. Yeah, we got some snow on the ground. What is Steam doing there? Steam! Alright, base stations are waking up. I probably should have started the VR and then popped out of it before starting the stream, but I'm terrible. Oh, and I picked up Valheim, which I'll probably do
Welcome
a little
to my
streaming
channel.
of that at some point. All right, let me pull up Twitch chat over here so I can watch the chat while I'm flying. All right, I think we probably have VRs active, and then the next thing that should come up is OVR Toolkit. That loads with Steam VR, and then I can put the headset on. Come on, RVO Toolkit, you can, OVR Toolkit, you can do it. Oh, it's got an update queued. Oh my word, it did this to me the other day. All right, now we can launch OVR Toolkit. I'm like, that's what's going on. Silly, silly, silly. Are the skies in Reading really that clear right now? Let's see what the weather says. Current conditions, light snow. Why do I have blue clouds? Okay, whatever. It's supposed to be accurate. So we're going to trust it. All right, OVR toolkit is up. So we got the simulator now has the focus. Let's put on the headset and see what we got. Okay. We will center. Yeah, so we got some overcast. Okay, yeah, okay. These aren't clear skies. We have overcast that way, which is to the south. Very good. All right, so the OVR toolkit, let's see what we got with that. All right, so the map is a little too small, but we can fix that. We can go window settings. We're gonna resize it. Okay, that's better. And then we're going to move it, which again, I have to do blind with the keyboard, which is sometimes really amusing. Now I want to spin it. I always forget what the spin keys are. There we go. All right, so I can read that well enough, which is good. And then let me get the Twitch chat up. Window list, spawn window, and then we want to take that window and we want to change its settings. We want to set the contents of it. Here we go, Twitch Brave. All right, and then we're going to move that down to the middle of the screen. Whoop. Come on, where's the keys for that? That's backwards, forwards. That's turn it. That's left, right. There we are. There we are. Okay. Whoops. And then let's backspace that. And we can make that a little smaller, I think. Doesn't need to be that ginormous. Okay. Very good. And I'm not sure how the windows got all messed up, but now they're okay. All right, so altimeter 30.09. We're just going to fix that right here. And we can see as we turn the dial, oops, turning the dial the wrong way. Terrible. 30.09. And then we can fix the, what am I trying to say? We can fix the digital one once we've got the aircraft started. So let's begin our checklist. So we'll bring out ATC. I usually tuck those guys over here. We're going to hide this yoke because we don't need it. We're going to hide this yoke because we don't need it. And then start the checklist. All right, pre-flight inspection, turn on evaluation.
Aircraft documents.
All right, all of our windows are set up so we can say that's the
Check.
aircraft documents.
Parking brake. Set. Ignition.
Ignition's off.
Avionics switch.
Avionics
+1,
are off.
+2. Off. Master switch. Alt and bat.
So flip on the master switch, which will, whoops, the master switches, which will turn on
Primary flight
the
display.
avionics.
PFD. Check on.
So what's neat about
quantity
the Cessna is it's got this killer. I've got enough fuel. I know that.
Low fuel.
It's got this killer killer digital control panel.
Oil pressure annunciator. Check on. Low vacuum annunciator. Check on. Avionics switch. +1.
All right.
On. Forward avionics.
I hear the fan.
Check fan is heard. Avionics switch. +1.
Turn it off.
Avionics switch. +2. On. Aft avionics fan. Check fan is heard. Avionics switch. +2. Off. Pitot heat.
Yeah, we're going to want the pitot heat on today for
Uncheck
sure.
working. Pitot heat. Off. Low volts annunciator. Check on. Master switch. Alt and bat. Off.
Yeah, we'll turn this off.
Elevator trim. Takeoff position. Fuel selector. Both.
Both. Looks good.
Static pressure all source valve. Off.
All right, so we're ready to do the before starting the engine check.
Pre-flight inspection.
All right, so pre-flight inspection. Let's take a look at the aircraft. All right, looks good. Check the control surfaces, make sure they work. Yep, check the rudder. Rudder's working with the paddles, fantastic. So that stuff can all move freely. So we're going to say that is complete.
Pre-flight inspection. Complete.
Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. I didn't switch to VR mode. Stand by. Where is it? There we go. There we go. Now you guys will see what I'm seeing. I apologize. I forgot to do that the other day, and that was embarrassing. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, that looks great in the two flipping circles, but now you actually see the aircraft. My apologies. So bad. Terrible, terrible streamer. Let's turn the evaluation back
Seat
on.
belts.
Yeah. So my seats are good, and
Just
OBS
in
toolkit's good.
Brakes. Test and set.
Brakes
Circuit
are working.
breakers. All pushed. Electrical equipment. Off.
It's off.
Avionics switch. Bus 1 and bus 2.
Avionics are off.
Off. Fuel selector.
Fuel selector looks
Both.
good. From
Fuel
both
shut-off
tanks.
valve. Open.
All right. Let's start this engine.
Throttle.
All right, so we open the throttle a little bit.
Open 1/4 inch. Mixture.
Pull the mixture to idle cutoff.
Idle cutoff. STBY bat switch.
I have the computer do this because this can sometimes be tedious, testing to make sure that the standby battery's working. Autocomplete can be your friend. That's just making sure the standby battery is in good shape, and then we arm it, because that basically powers the avionics should we lose main power.
Test hold for 20 SEC. STBY bat switch.
Yeah, and now we'll arm it. We'll arm it. And that'll boot the...
My timer _ Elsasin. Welcome to my channel. My timer _ Elsasin
PFD comes on.
said.
Engine indicating system.
Let's go.
Check
Leroy
parameters.
Jenkins.
Bus E-volts.
Leroy Jenkins!
24
Yeah,
volts.
sorry, we're actually doing a proper
Check
checklist.
1.5
We'll be in the
volts or
air
less.
soon enough, though. We might
Madness
Leroy
hands.
Jenkins on the landing.
Check verify discharge. STBY bat annunciator.
Okay, looks good.
System test. Okay.
Check on. Propeller area.
All right, the propeller area is not clear. There's an idiot standing there, but there's nothing I can do
Clear.
about that.
Master switch. Alt and bat.
All right, so now we engage both switches.
On. Beacon.
We turn the beacon on because that needs to be on when the
Mixture.
engine's running. We rich the mixture.
Rich. Auxiliary fuel pump.
We prime the engine with some fuel. Come on. Prime the engine with some fuel. Man, manipulating the mouse is hard. 2, 3, 4, 5.
On 3 to 5 seconds, then off. Mixture.
This wants me to lean the mixture, but the engine won't start if the mixture is too lean. So I immediately unlean it. Feet are ready to brake. Should things go to
Ready to
hell.
brake. Ignition.
All right. Contact.
Start. Mixture.
All
Rich
right.
when engine starts.
Engine is running. We're almost going. All right, let's turn on our avionics. And now we'll see, what the neat thing about the Garmin is that if one of them fails, the other screen will do all the work you need to do. So that's kind of cool.
Throttle.
All right, so we want to adjust the throttle down to 1,000 RPM. There we
Adjust
go.
1000 RPM.
Nailed it.
Oil pressure.
Oil pressure's
Check.
looking good.
Amps. MBAT and BATS.
Amps are
Check
looking
verify
good.
charge shown. Low volts annunciator. Check
No,
off.
okay, no warning there.
Avionics switch, bus 1 and bus 2.
Both avionics switches are
Flaps.
on.
Up.
Flaps are up. All right.
Taxi light.
We don't need the
As
taxi
required.
light. It's not dark out.
Landing light.
We don't need the landing
As
light. It's
required.
not dark out. We do need the strobe on so other aircraft can see us.
Navigation lights.
Navigation light should be on.
On. Parking brake.
All right, so let's see. We'll tune to Reading ground, and we'll request our IFR clearance.
Reading ground, Cessna November 212 Romeo.
It's
Hotel
Reading,
IFR
not
to
reading, but
Allentown,
what can we
ready
do?
to copy. Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel is cleared to Allentown Airport as filed. Take off runway 31 climb and maintain 3,000 feet. Departure frequency is 124.1 squawk 7212.
All right, we'll read back again.
Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel cleared to Allentown Airport as filed.
So I
Take
want
off runway 31 climb and maintain 3,000 feet. Departure on 124.1 squawk 7212.
so here's something cool.
Cessna 2 Romeo Hotel read back correct. Contact ground on 121.9er.
All right, we're going to request a pushback.
Reading ground, Cessna November 212
We'll make this
Romeo
guy earn
Hotel
some money.
requesting Pushback. Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel pushback request accepted. Test. Rudder.
Come on, rudder, test. So this guy's going to push us back a little bit so that we can, you know, take over the runway. All right. So what I'm going to do now is on our Garmin, we can actually turn on this little indicator that shows us the wind. This is something we don't always have. So this shows us the direction and speed of the wind. It's 11 knots or 3 knots from that direction, which is kind of cool. And then what we do is we go back. We go back. Now CDI controls what we use for the autopilot. We're going to make sure that we set that to the GPS, and we can see that. We can see that up here. In fact, we even see the little purple G shows us that we've got a landing with RNAV programmed into the GPS. So that's a good sign. Shows us we should be able to catch the glide slope. The other thing is our assigned altitude is 3,000 feet. So we're going to program that now. Now the assigned altitude goes up here on top of our altitude indicator. Watch that as I turn it, and we'll set it to 3,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and then yeah, our altitude is now programmed. So we won't forget to do that after we take off. I think that's enough pushback.
Reading ground, Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel requesting the end of pushback.
This guy was bringing us all, he was bringing us to, like, kind of far. All right, go back to clearance and request taxi.
Reading ground, Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel with Charlie ready to taxi IFR. Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel taxi to and hold short of runway 31 via taxiway Alpha cross runway 36. Contact tower on 119.9er when ready.
All right, so we're taking off on runway
Taxi
31.
to and hold short runway 31 using taxiway Alpha cross runway 36 Cessna to Romeo Hotel.
All right, so he pushed us back quite a bit, which is okay. There's our taxiway over there. So let me move the checklist over into another direction. All right, so we've got our altitude set. No, don't put it over there. We want it over here. Come on, don't be stupid. There we go. So let's taxi. We steer with our feet. Come on. Did I accidentally set the brake? No. All right, come on. Or am I braking with my feet because I think I was pushing the pedals with my feet too much forward, which was braking, which is less than useful when you want to taxi. So let's go over to the runway. So you got our blue lines taking us to the runway, our little blue arrows guiding us. Woo! Surprised it's not snowing here. Oh, look, we got some clouds in the distance. I expected snow, dang it. Although the weather's been slowly clearing all day. I could force snow, but we're just going to do the flight. And see how pretty it is. Yeah. Now, Allentown's not that far away, so this flight shouldn't take too long. Should probably taxi on the center line, and I'm not. Oh boy. To the center line, please. And this should show me my effective ground speed somewhere. I forget where that is, because I haven't. Oh yeah, my ground speed is now 10 knots. That's on the top row there, GS, on the right-hand display. And you're supposed to taxi no quicker than 20 knots. So I'm kind of taxiing at old man speed right now, but you know, what can you do? So we'll taxi over towards the runway entrance, and then we'll do our run up to make sure everything's working okay, and then we'll take off. Let me switch over to the run-up checklist. Leroy Jenkins! Good old Merc. Old co-worker of mine. Glad you could show up. I don't know if you remember Alan Davis. We both worked with him together, Mark.
My timer _Elsison said, "All good, Mark. Looking forward to the flight."
Yeah, but if you remember Alan Davis, who worked with us at Micro Warehouse many years ago, he took me up for a lunchtime flight at least once, maybe more than once. I don't remember. We flew a Cessna out of Lakewood. It was a neat experience. So he was a legit private pilot. All right, so this is where we stop. So this is where we do what's called the run-up. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, this is where we bring the engine up to speed. We make sure that the magnetos are working okay, and it's our last chance to not take off in case something is wrong. So our seats are up in the most upright position. Seat belts are secure, even if they're not. The doors are closed and locked. Can't do anything about that. I'm going to have the computer handle this because this can be annoying, but the computer will make sure that all the control surfaces are working and everything. Whoops. Did I not autocomplete?
Flight controls. Free and correct.
Fantastic. Oh, I must hit the wrong.
Flight instruments.
All right, so I don't see any red X's. Nothing looks bad in the PFD. No red, no blue screens of death either. So that's great.
Check no red X's. Altimeter, PFD.
All right.
Set baro.
So I haven't.
Standby altimeter. Set.
All right. So I need to set barometric pressure. That should be 30.09. And so for the autopilot, you see how it's 29.92? That's not going to work. So we need to set it here. So 29.96. And unfortunately, the little guidance text kind of covers it. So I always have to adjust it and then look back. So it's at 30.05. 30.07, 30.09. So we good. We've selected our altitude already for 3,000 feet.
Check.
Standby flight instruments look
Fuel
good.
quantity indicators.
Fuel looks good. We're at half fuel. We don't need more than that.
Check. Mixture.
Mixture is set to rich. We need that for takeoff.
selector.
Fuel selectors on both.
Autopilot.
Okay, now we do an autopilot test.
Engage. Flight controls.
Move the flight controls against the autopilot. We'll have the computer handle this again. And I finally got smart. I programmed the autopilot with the button on the joystick so that I don't have to fumble for the button in the virtual cockpit.
A/P trim disk button. Press. Flight director. Off. Elevator trim. Set for takeoff. Throttle.
All right, so here's where we do the actual run-up. We bring the engine to 1800. Make sure the brake is on before we do that.
Set 1,800 RPM.
And now what we do is we test the magnetos. Right now we're running with both magnetos. So we set the magnetos to left and we make sure the RPMs don't drop off too much.
150 RPM.
The magnetos are actually what fires the spark plugs. We make sure there's not more than a 50 RPM difference between the two.
Magnetos.
And then we turn both magnetos back on again because you should be running both of them to run the aircraft. Vacuum gauge is looking good.
Check.
No
Ammeters
engine
and
alerts.
voltmeters. Check.
Yep.
Annunciators. Check none displayed.
Nope.
Engine idle.
Drop engine to idle, which should idle at about 600 to 650 RPM.
Check 600 to 650 RPM. Throttle.
And then we bring the throttle back up to 1,000 RPM. And then we call in for it. Then I think we're done. We're ready for takeoff clearance. Now, that all might seem very tedious, especially for a fake aircraft that never has mechanical failures, but it's good practice. All right.
Com frequency, S.
Com frequencies are set.
Set.
Nav frequencies are, we don't need to worry about the nav radio for this flight. We're good already.
FMS/GPS flight plan.
We've already set to GPS. We're good there.
As desired.
Our transponder's already been set. We got that when we did our IBM, well, not our IBM, our IFR clearance.
Set. CDI soft key.
We've already selected our nav source. We're using GPS, so we're good.
Select NAV source. Cabin PWR 12
That's not on. No one's charging their iPad.
Flaps. 0 to 10
We're
degrees.
taking off with regular
windows.
flaps. We can't open the windows,
Closed and
so that's an
locked.
irrelevant checklist
Parking
item.
brake.
And then parking brake. We'll release that once we have takeoff clearance. Okay, we're going to close the checklist. We're going to close that top menu because we don't need to be staring at that. And then we will tune to the tower and get takeoff clearance.
Reading Tower Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel at runway 31 ready for takeoff IFR to Allentown.
Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel cleared for takeoff runway 31.
Yeah, we're not allowed to enter the runway
Cleared for
until we have the
runway
takeoff
31,
clearance.
Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel.
Alright, parking brakes off, so now we'll steer onto the runway by following these arrows, although we probably don't need to do that. And then once we get onto the runway straight, we will gun it and take off. And we'll see if I can keep the airplane straight on the runway with the rudder pedals while we're doing that. That's always a contest. Can Uncle Mark steer the aircraft? Our survey says maybe. All right, and here we go. Full throttle over a period of about 3 seconds. A little bit of right rudder, so we'll go straight. To go against the engine torque. Oh yeah. All right, we need to be at about 60 to 65 knots to lift for rotation. Oh, this is messy. And here we go. We're lifting off. Beauty shot of the takeoff. Beauty shot looking backwards. All right, and we'll climb out. And yeah, this is the part of Pennsylvania where we start to have mountains. Now, because it's cold outside, I'm going to turn the pitot heat on. That'll stop that little inlet right there on the wing from freezing, because that's how the aircraft knows how fast we're going. That's our airspeed. All right.
Cessna 2 Romeo Hotel, contact Harrisburg departure on 124.1.
Sure, we're in Harrisburg's airspace.
Going to 124.1 Cessna 2 Romeo Hotel. Harrisburg departure Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel is climbing through 1,200 feet for 3,000 feet.
All right, I'm going to turn on the autopilot.
Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel, Harrisburg departure, continue as planned. Altimeter tree, 0.06. Cessna 2 Romeo Hotel climb and maintain 4,000 feet.
4,000 feet, okay. They must want us at 4,000 for some reason. So what I'll do is I'll set our altitude to 4,000 feet. Nope, that's going the wrong way. That is not the right way. Controls are hard. There we go. And we can see that we are, so the 4,000 is our desired altitude. The little 500 in smaller text is what we've told the autopilot to climb at. That's in feet per minute. And then the speed in white is what we're actually doing. You can tell the computer to go at a certain rate, but you know, physics might fight you. So let's see what we look like from up here. Very nice. This is all very pretty. But here's we're actually not on course for where we're going. We want to be going to the east. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the autopilot and turn on nav mode to get us on course, because we want to be going to Allentown. Yeah, it looks like we got some overcast in that direction. Let's see if Allentown is clear. And what we can see is that on navigation, yeah, our estimated trip. All right, we're going to back the engine off a little bit because you can see we're running kind of hot. So let's reduce throttle a little bit. All right, so we can see that we're navigating from our user waypoint, which is our start point, to the waypoint Sayav. And let's look on the chart there. So Sayav is the entry point for our approach, and we can see that for that entry point, that's why ATC put us at 4,000 feet. They want us to approach that entry point at 4,000. When we get to that point, they will probably direct us to reduce our altitude to 3,000, and then we'll be able to reduce our altitude all the way through the approach path. This is all very pre-planned, very standard, very scientific when you're doing an IFR flight. You're not supposed to really vary from the flight path because there's other possible aircraft involved that ATC is directing. Now, I'm leaning on the autopilot right now because I feel like it, and that kind of lets us sit back and enjoy the flight. So let's check out the scenery from up here. Yeah. Now, this area, the Reading area, is near where my daughter lives and works. She actually graduated from Kutztown, has an apartment out in Kutztown, although her and her boyfriend are looking for a new place in this area. It's about a 45-minute drive to the west from where we live in Nazareth. So the airport we're landing, Allentown, is on the mom and dad side of that distance, closer to where I live than where Maggie is. All right, let's see about zooming this a little bit so we can. Oops, that's zooming in. I want to zoom out so we can see our flight path. Yeah, that's our plotted flight path right there, which brings us up north and then around. So ironically, had we just flown a northeast straight course to Allentown, it would technically be faster. And if we were doing a regular visual flight rules or a VFR flight, we might have done that.
My timer _Elsasin. said. You may pass my brother's house in effort, ha.
I might. And in fact, with Flight Simulator, what you can do is when you're planning your flight, if you go to Google Maps and you find an address and you right-click on the location, it'll copy the GPS coordinates, the latitude, longitude into the buffer. You can set that up as a custom waypoint in the simulator, so you can literally drop in the location of your house. All right, let's see. How's everything looking? Oil pressure's good. Oil temp is good. RPMs are in the green. Our altitude is almost at 4,000. We're cruising at about 84 knots. Now, the autopilot doesn't touch the throttle, so as soon as we get to your cruising altitude, you'll see that our airspeed's going to go up because we'll no longer be turning power into vertical movement, and then we'll be approaching our regular cruise speed, which is normally about 110 knots. Ah, there's the autopilot turning us to get on course, and we can see on the map there's another aircraft. Should be off back to our left. Let me, yeah, there she is up in the sky. That's going to be a commercial jetliner, probably heading to about 36,000 feet. The simulator is set to pull in live traffic. That's aircraft traffic, not ground traffic. But any aircraft we see are, in theory, flying in the real world right now, plus any other flight simulator players that are in the local area. But I don't know how popular Allentown, Pennsylvania is as a place for just regular old folk to fly, who don't have a reason to. All right, so looking around, yeah, we got some haze. We probably don't need to do this as an instrument landing, but I've never done an RNAV approach before, so I wanted to give it a go today. And again, RNAV is a newer method of doing instrument landing that doesn't require the installation of dedicated radio transmitters at the end of the runway. That's the classic ILS landing approach, and Allentown does have ILS capability, right? But they also have a couple of different runways that let you do RNAV. So we were going to test that today. But those of you who watched me do my ILS landing last weekend, it's going to feel very similar. At some point, what we'll do is as we approach that one waypoint, we will hit approach mode, which then tells the autopilot to try and start capturing the glide slope. And once the autopilot captures the glide slope, the only thing we control is the speed of the aircraft. And we ride that all the way down until we shut the autopilot off for our final landing. Some folk ride it almost all the way down to the runway, and some folk are like, no, once we're over the airport, we'll go manual. I tend to I generally only knock the autopilot out once we're over the runway itself, which is usually at about 100 to 200 feet. Yeah. As you can see, there's snow on the ground, which reflects real life. There is snow on the ground today here in lovely eastern Pennsylvania. The outside temperature is -6 centigrade. -6 Celsius. I guess I could set that to freedom degrees, but I usually read it in Celsius. And again, so we got the pitot heat on because when it's under 40 degrees Fahrenheit and we're using instrument flight rules, that's actually an FAA regulation. We need to have the pitot heat on, and in fact, there it is. Pitot heat must be on when operating below 40 degrees Fahrenheit in instrument meteorological conditions. So we're following the rules. All right, how are we doing? We are coming up on...
Another viewer. Welcome to my channel.
All right. So we're doing the wide turn, which will bring us over to the entry into the landing pattern. Do-do-do, do-do-do. And again, mountains. I've spent a lot of time flying I flew down the East Coast, and I've been banging around in Florida. There are no mountains in Florida. I'll be bringing that aircraft back up further west in, like over the Appalachians and whatnot. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Oh, this is technically part of the Appalachian Trail here, I believe. My least favorite trail to hike because of rocks. Now, the sky ahead of me looks far more what it looks like outside of my house right now. You can see those clouds in the distance. And again, the weather engine is trying to be accurate, so I fully believe that out towards the airport, it might not be as overcast. And had I gotten on this flight earlier, it would probably be a little more overcast. And do we have a clock in here? Haven't flown this aircraft. Oh yeah, local time. There we go. 13:49. Very good. So 10 to 2. All right, so if ATC does their job, after we hit that waypoint, they should bring us down to 3,000 feet. If they don't, I'm going to do it anyway, as captain of this fine aircraft. And just to share with you guys the plan here, we want to land the Cessna at about 70 knots. I sometimes forget to slow down until the last minute, but I've been getting better about that. Here's the moon. Oh! Okay. Alright, that's the weather engine giving me an update. That's a little weird. But computers are strange. So there's our clouds that I expected to see far earlier in this flight.
My timer _Elsasin said, if you cruise by any military bases, do you get an escort away from it?
No, not at this time. I'm sure people are working on mods for that. But now what I do when I'm flying for real, and when I say when I'm flying for real, I mean when I'm flying the 172 that's down in Pensacola right now, I do try to respect the notice to airmen, stay away from this particular area, but the game itself doesn't do anything. Okay, so what you're seeing, this bouncing right now, this is not my head, this is turbulence. We can see we're flying into a 17-knot headwind right now. And those clouds, again, the weather engine must have just injected those recently. What it does is it reads weather off of certain points, and then it's accurate within a certain range. There's certain airports that have weather beacons, and it was basing it, I think, off of Allentown's weather beacon, and it was basically smoothing the transition out to Reading. But once I got a certain distance away, it's like, yeah, there's clouds here, yo. So. Did not expect it to be that abrupt.
To Romeo Hotel, you are 17 miles west. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect RNAV runway 6 approach by SAYLB transition. Cleared to SAYLB.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect RNAV runway 6 approach via SAOF transition. Cleared to SAOF Cessna to Romeo Hotel.
Alright, so now I need to get And there's my descent.
3,000 feet.
So I'm going to back off on the throttle a bit because there's a real danger of overshooting things. And then we're going to click it to 3,000, and then we're going to go, hey, let's decrease vertical speed. And the we'll go vertical speed mode first. And then the standard for vertical speed.
Did you hear my last transmission?
I heard you. I'm just ignoring you.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet Cessna to Romeo Hotel.
Yeah, so now we're going down to 3,000 feet. So we're heading to Gisto now, and Gisto is where we need to be at 3,000 to have a non-crazy approach slope. And then we need to be at 2,400 for Shaggy. Raggy! Yeah. So that's fine. So let's zoom in a little bit so we can see these waypoints. Actually, you can see Gisto right there. And Gisto is 7.5 nautical miles away. All right, I think we'll keep the zoom at that level. I didn't realize that that was Gisto there. Now, because I'm on instrument flight, I'm allowed to fly through the clouds. If I was using visual flight rules, I'd have to make my best effort to avoid the clouds, but because I'm on instrumentation, nah, I can just blast my way through them. It's all good. Now, there's sometimes reasons not to. There is a possibility that when I pass through this cloud, I might get some ice on the aircraft. And that will change the flight behavior. So let's see what happens. And we would actually see icing on the on the structures if that happens. It did happen to me when I was flying the other Cessna down from New Jersey, and I just blithely flew through a cloud. Because remember, it's water vapor, man, and it's cold outside. And the simulator will take that into effect. And yeah, I do have that setting on. That'll make the aircraft fly worse when there's ice on it. Ah, there we go. We can start to see some ice on the windshield. So what I might need to do, depending on how the aircraft starts to perform, I might need to give us a little more throttle, because speed is life. But yeah, we're definitely icing over. Yeah, you can see my airspeed's dropping. So let's give us a little more juice. Because, you know, whether you realize it or not, ice can be heavy. Because water can be heavy. There's another aircraft up there. Yeah, and the autopilot's definitely pitching the aircraft up. Ah, yep, there's the ice on the struts. So, yeah, this is great. Opening full throttle. Because what I don't want to do is bleed off so much airspeed that I stall. Because that could get dangerous. Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see the ice covering my airplane. Fun. And there's the airport over there, I think. No, wait, the airport should be off my left side. That's not the airport over there. Remember, I'm the Scoutmaster who's not allowed to have the map. The airport's going to be over to our left. Correct? Yeah, that's the left wing. Oh, and I got the VR being funky, so that's fun. Oh, and who keeps texting me? Oh, my word. It's probably the kids. Yeah, I feel like I got some frame stutters going on here. I might be asking the simulator to do a little too much right now, but we'll check that out later. But right now the numbers look okay. I can still operate the aircraft safely, and I got the autopilot, you know, doing the heavy lifting right now. but I'm sure it's not happy with me. And our altitude's almost at 3,000, so that's good. Okay, good. We'll do that. So 2,400 feet is actually a great instruction because we need to be there. So 2,600, 2,500, 2,400. And we'll do that at, again, the standard is 500 feet per minute, if you can do that safely. Yeah, you guys can probably see there's some stuttering going on. And I don't know why. That bears some further investigation, but I'm not going to interrupt the flight to deal with that. My hope is that it'll go away as I get out of the clouds. Alright, the autopilot should be turning us shortly. Because we're coming down to Jesto. Yep, there's the turn. And then Shaggy is coming up. So here's the good part. I can see the runway even from here. So that's wonderful. Although again, she's running like garbage right now.
My timer _Elsasin said, people are freaking out over self-driving cars. Meanwhile they pay computer-driven flight no mind for decades.
Exactly! So here's the thing. I'm still ultimately responsible as the pilot to not hit other aircraft. And even though mid-air collisions happen, it's far less common than morons hitting each other on the road. Alright, I'm going to have to play with the weather engine settings because I think what's going on here is I'm getting my frame rates destroyed by the weather simulator trying to inject too much live. So there are settings I can tweak to deal with that. But this is the first time I'm using this software, and as you can see, things are a little sketch. Alright, so what's my... Shaggy's 4.2 miles away. Okay, I need to make an executive decision here. All right, I turned off the weather synthesis, which means that it's no longer injecting new weather data, although the weather that it's injected at this point should hold. So this is good.
Allentown approach Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel 2,400 feet.
Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel, Allentown approach, continue to Shaggy as planned. Altimeter tree, 0.09er.
Now Shaggy, I need to be at 2,400. I'm at 2,400, and Shaggy is where I can capture the glide slope. So let's take a look here. I am 2.1 miles from Shaggy, so I'm going to back off on throttle a little bit.
Cessna 2 Romeo Hotel, you are 9 miles southwest of Allentown. Contact Allentown Tower on 120.5 when inbound on the approach.
120.5 Cessna to Romeo Hotel.
Alright, well I'm definitely inbound on the approach, so I'm going to contact the tower now.
Allentown Tower Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel 8 miles southwest inbound RNAV runway 6 approach.
Cessna November 212 Romeo Hotel Allentown Tower. Cleared RNAV runway 6 approach. Altimeter tree 0.09er wind 130 at 29er.
Okay, so we're landing into a pretty strong headwind.
Cleared RNAV runway 6 approach Cessna to Romeo Hotel.
Alright, so I am coming up on the entry into the approach, 0.5 nautical miles. I'm going to drop a notch of flaps. And I'm going to actually enter... I'm going to activate approach mode. Oh boy. Full flaps to try and recover a little bit here.
My timer _Elsasin said. Looks for the hot stewardess.
Yeah, you might need her right now. I don't know if we're going to be okay because I don't see the glide slope doing what it needs to do. Okay, it looks like the glides, it looks like we're coming, that purple dot is heading to where it needs to be for us to capture the glide slope. Let me bring a little flap up. Alright. Alright, I think we've caught the glide slope. Have we caught the glide slope? Oh, good God, this is not. The aircraft is trying to recover.
Romeo Hotel cleared to land runway 6. Wind 130 at 29er.
Cleared to land runway 6 Cessna to Romeo Hotel.
Oh boy, this is a hot mess. Alright, where are we supposed to be at Giebel? Giebel's supposed to be 1400, so the glide slope is significantly above us right now. And you can see that on the altimeter, the purple dot is up there. So the only thing we can do is hopefully try and catch it as we fly forward. We're covered with ice, we're covered with rain. I don't know how it's going to play out. We shall see. Yeah, we're 500 feet above the ground. This is not great. Oops. Oh boy. Try and get more speed here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to fly the course in and see what I can do about getting this on the on the runway, because right now we ain't doing great. I know we're stalled. I get it. Yeah, there's our runway up there. I'm not giving up. But I will say that it did not work like I expected. Oh boy. Okay, boys. We are landing on a road in Allentown. It's looking like. Oh, the FAA is going to be so mad at me.
My timer _Elsison said, sweet.
So there is no collision detection with the ground vehicles, as you just saw. There is, however, collision detection with trees. Yeah, and there we go. Fail. Fail sauces fail. Okay. So what happened? Okay, what happened? Let's talk about what happened. Ooh. What you had there is you had a pilot, me, who, here, let's switch back to non-VR mode. Did I lock up? Here we go. What do I want? I want Stream. I want Streamlabs, and I want to do a desktop. There we go. So what the heck happened? Well, we had
my timer _Elsison.
Yeah, now I'm in heaven,
said,
right? Oh, and Steam VR failed. So just to add insult to injury, Steam VR crashed out on me. You had a pilot, me, who was not used to how a particular methodology worked, and the first time I used it was in a really foul weather situation. So that was not great. Even with all the technology and the theoretical understanding of how to use it, as you can see, it's real easy to sometimes get in over your head. So what I don't understand is why the glide slope didn't get picked up unless I was just really out of the bounds of the altitude required to do that. And then the, you all saw what happened. All right, well, thanks everybody for joining me. I really probably should get back to like my day job at this point because this was a later extended lunch. But next time we'll try to get on the ground a little safer. All right, take care.